It's Monday evening. It's time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis. We are live on Boom Broadcasting at 7:05. And that's not an area code. That's just, hey, we needed 5 more minutes. And that's totally okay because we have a big show for you. If you guys watched any of the content over the weekend, first of all, shout out to Mouthing Off with Mike for a 7-hour, 20-minute live stream of the nightcap. That deserves applause in its own right. You see a lot of wrestling memorabilia around myself right now, and we have a huge wrestling presence on Boom Broadcasting. But this is a wrestling channel. This is a sports channel. This is a channel giving people an outlet for their passions. And Mike is very passionate about wrestling, and so kudos to him for having the longest live stream. Now, Outta Pocket is not going 7 hours tonight. We'll let you get your beauty sleep, and we have a lot to talk about. But we also had the Gridiron Address was back. Aaron, Shannon, Jason covering their top quarterback list. And obviously, there was a guy who came up, and I have some strong opinions about him. So I want to get other people's opinions on this particular player. And you guys can also comment if you're watching live on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube page, where you can subscribe for free and support content creators like Aaron, Mike, myself, and the rest of the team. Or you're seeing us on Facebook, just like Wayne. Michael's on fire this weekend. Absolutely. So much wrestling content to divulge and consume. And it was fantastic. But I'm just going to let you guys know the show is out of pocket. I'm never out of pocket. And so anything that my guest today might disagree with, let's just go ahead and tell it like it is. They might be the ones out of pocket if they disagree with me. I would like to introduce, I did mention him a few minutes ago, he did host the Gridiron Address. And we have gotten into some heated discussion before about a particular player. I'm bringing in the host of the Gridiron Address, Aaron Schneider. Aaron, love the microphone, love the polo.
Thank you. Yeah, always happy to be on. Gridiron Address finally back last night. Again, shout out to Shannon and Jason for coming on. They were the first guys to step up when I asked if anybody wanted to, and they're always great. See Jason in the comments. Jason, you were huge. Always great having you on the show, man.
Yeah, and there he is, right there in the comments, right on schedule. His ears were burning. Jason, the host of 3 from Deep, 3 times a week during the regular season and the postseason, but now he's down to Mondays at 12, and so his episode's available on demand. You can watch afterwards. NY Top Billing.
Don't worry about that.
Before we get too crazy, I do want to introduce the audience to a first-time guest, and it is pretty fitting. You'll understand why I invited this particular guest on when I introduce our topic. Much love to you, Jason, as well. And Jason's actually collaborated with this guy before. He is the host of Answer the Call. He is one of the guys on the West War Room Rivals. He is Tim Collins. Tim, happy to have you on. I noticed you're a Chargers fan with that logo behind you. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I represent the Chargers, as you just said, the West War Room Rivals. I'm the Charger guy. So when I seen the topics, I got really excited. I'm super excited, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead into these topics. Real quick, want a special shout out. Wayne started Sideline Savants, a fantasy football podcast last fall. Brought Jason in on his co-host, and now it's going to be Jason hosting Sideline Savants, and he's going to crush some fantasy football content. Wayne, I agree. And Jason, what's up, Tim? Tim, I'm going to tell you what's up. There was a list released, not only over the weekend on the Gridiron Address, but there was also a list released from a content creator on ESPN. I believe it was Fowler who released it and gave his top 10 quarterbacks. And so I'm going to list some of these people. You got Patrick Mahomes at number 1. You got Josh Allen at 2. Joe Burrow at 3. Lamar at 4. This one's even a little sketchy. Already putting Jaden Daniels at 5. That was questionable. Matt Stafford at 6 at this point in his career. You had Jared Goff, you had Jalen Hurts, and you had Baker Mayfield. But ahead of Goff, Hurts, and Mayfield, you had Justin Herbert. And I'm just going to go ahead and let Tim know I try not to be hostile on Out of Pocket, and I'm never out of pocket. But I do not understand.
That's debatable.
I do not understand the hype and the pomp and the circumstance around Justin Herbert. He's a first-round draft pick. He didn't do much in LA. There are quarterbacks who are ridiculed and criticized for their lack of postseason success, and then they just go ahead and decide to put Justin Herbert in the top 10. And you know who was missing on the list was Dak Prescott, who 2 years ago, before his injury, finished second in MVP voting. And so if people are going to knock a guy like Dak Prescott for lack of postseason success, but they're going to put Justin Herbert on this pedestal, people say he's top 10. Some people put him as high as top 5. It's a little bit of a double standard. And before we get knee deep into the football season this fall, I got to settle this. Justin Herbert is just overrated. Now, Tim, I know you're the Chargers guy. I want to get your thoughts on, as a Chargers fan, what you think of Justin Herbert.
All right. First and foremost, Herbert is a great quarterback. He has suffered from lack of great coaching until last season. He had to deal with Brandon Staley, and we all know how that worked out. He never had the same coaching staff more than 2 years in a row. This is actually the first time he's had the same coaching staff. So, same coaching staff, 2 years in a row for the first time. I think we're going to see a big change in Justin Herbert. He's a top 10. He's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's not quite top 5. I want to put him there. I just think that there are a few others that are ahead of him, Matt Stafford being one of them. I want to see a little bit more of Jaden Daniels. It was a great rookie season. I want to see him build on that. But, Matt Stafford, I would say Jared Goff is, top 5 worthy. So I don't have him in my top 5, but I definitely have him in my top 10. And I want to say he's going to ball out this year. And I seen somebody saying that he hasn't had any good weapons. And that's honestly true, kind of a banged up Keenan Allen, a washed up Mike Williams. So for me, I'm excited for the season. In Harbaugh, I trust. Herbert is my quarterback, and the Chargers will make the playoffs this season.
That's a bold take right there. And we have comments pouring in.
They made the playoffs last year.
Alex saying average talent, big arm. So star regardless on 20 out of 32 teams.
I mean, look, if he's average, he would have thrown more than 3 interceptions last year. Statistically, he had a really good season last year. An average quarterback is not going to have a season that good with the minimal weapons that he has. He's finally got a good receiver in McConkey. He's an absolute stud. I know Jason's a huge fan of him. So he's finally got something there. I think Trey Harris could be a really good weapon for him as well. And Hampton is a good receiving back, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for what he brings as a receiver.
And I do want to come back to Amari and Hampton, but I mean, I'm just looking at, and we're having comments pour in, and Wayne even brought up, he doesn't think Herbert has had any good weapons. Keenan Allen, very serviceable. Austin Eckler, people didn't give Eckler a lot of credit because he was very dynamic, in the backfield. Like Herbert has had weapons. Jason saying, sorry, Herbert's out of his top 10. And
he also didn't have, like I said, the coaching staff. He had Brandon Staley, who great defensive coordinator, great players coach, not a great head coach. And I don't care how great a quarterback is. If the head coach is crap, then the quarterback play is going to be crap. I mean, look at Dak Prescott. He's, as you praised him, he hasn't had great coaching staff. Mike McCarthy, so early 2000s. So for me, I want to say he has a great coaching staff. I just want to see Greg Roman, dial it up a little bit more. Also, last season, Herbert was hurt most of the season. He had a sprained ankle. So the fact that he even still played and only threw 3 interceptions is pretty incredible.
Well, it depends on how much you trust the ball in Justin Herbert's hands. And Tim, usually we go back and forth, and I'm like, "Hey, Tim, what's your question? Hey, Aaron, here's your response." You did mention coaching. I love Jim Harbaugh. Aaron loves Jim Harbaugh, I know. Okay, but I mean, you don't have the excuse of Brandon Staley anymore. Like, you have weapons. Ladd McConkey is going to be a really good weapon, but when it comes to coaching, like, if Jim Harbaugh can't get anything out of Justin Herbert, like, who can?
That you're absolutely right. But like I was saying, this is the first time that he's going in to the season with the exact same coaching staff as the previous season, because Brandon Staley, we all know what happened there. Different offensive coordinator, different quarterback coach every single year he's been in the league. So, like I said, he has the same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same quarterback coach as last season. And Harbaugh has looked like he's putting the weapons around him this season. So I'm excited.
Aaron, are you believing? And by the way, I'm trying to, get everybody's shout out: Alex, Jason, Sean, Wayne, Mac in the comments. So Alex says Herbert 13th best. Maybe. I mean, Aaron, like, when it comes to the coaching of Justin Herbert, like, do you give Herbert another year or two to see what he has with Harbaugh, or what he is?
I really want to see something from him this year. He has enough around him. He has the coaching staff around him finally. I'd like to see one playoff win out of him. That's it. Just make the divisional round. I think that would be a huge step up, but I've been a Herbert supporter his whole career, but it's running a little thin. I think this is the year that we do need to see something from him. Has a tendency to crumble a little bit when the lights are bright and pressure's on him. Part of that could be due to the inconsistencies in coaching and the weapons not always being there, which I think he finally has. We'll touch on that running back room a bit later, but I think that's going to be a really, really crucial part of that Chargers offense is the run game.
And that can always alleviate what a quarterback is dealing with. And Jason saying it's the NFL, everyone plays hurt. Podcast Smitty, what's good, fellas? Shannon and Jason were both on with Aaron last night, going through various quarterback rankings. Sean saying Justin is decent. If Jim can't get the best out of him, then it may be time to move on from him. And Tim, this is a really good point. As the Vinny Cash says that Herbert is a beast. I'm sure Tim wants a beast at quarterback. But with what Sean said, like, it may be time to move on from him. Like, there's quarterbacks coming in like every year. Next year's draft class is deep. So even if it wasn't next year, like, how long of a leash do you have for Justin Herbert before you would move on?
Well, I mean, I think the Chargers obviously believe in him. They gave him the extension. Harbaugh believes in him. He actually woke up in the middle of a dream. He was like in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And he's like, I got to get Justin Herbert into the Hall of Fame. So Harbaugh understands what he has at quarterback, and he understands what it's going to take. And that's going to be getting that playoff success, winning playoff games, getting to the AFC Championship, going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. That is what helps Herbert get into the Hall of Fame. And Harbaugh already realizes that in year 2. I think, Harbaugh and Herbert are going to be a great quarterback coach duo. And, one can arguably say that if he didn't have if he had the continuity, in the same coaching staff, his whole, like, since he came into the league, who's to say that he wouldn't already have playoff success? So they gave him the extension. They believe in him. Harbaugh definitely believes in him. And in Harbaugh, I trust. And Herbert is still my quarterback.
And Wayne, I agree. I miss football so much. We're not far away.
So
we're
close.
like less
Seems
than
like
2
it.
months from regular season. Feels like forever. Aaron knows as well as I do. College football, the new video game released this past week. It was like
Yes.
last Thursday or something. College
Yeah.
football 26. We play college football 25 into the ground. And I might still be playing college football 25 into the ground until I can get 26. Podcast myth, Herbert has to hurry. Denver is coming for that second spot in the AFC West.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
And Tim knows this from, like, he does the West War Room Rivals. You guys have seen Cody Johnson from Drew Code Sports Talk on here. He's one of the guys. He's a Raiders fan, but you start looking at that division and you're like, you're competing against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You're competing against Sean Payton and Bo Nix, who Bo Nix balled out last year. And then you have the Raiders. Sorry, Cody. But, I mean, it looks like, even with Jim Harbaugh, like, Herbert and Harbaugh are the third best quarterback coach duo in the league. Before Tim's response, Aaron, am I out of pocket for saying that I like Bo Nix and Sean Payton and Mahomes and Reid over Herbert and Harbaugh?
Huh. I mean, definitely Reid and Mahomes over them. Bo Nix, he looked shaky to start his rookie year. He played great after week 4, but the sophomore slump is always something you got to worry about. I think until Nix can prove that he's more consistent, I wouldn't necessarily put him solidly above Harbaugh and Herbert. I think they're in like the same tier right now.
Okay.
I mean, with the Hall of Fame comment from Jim Harbaugh, I mean, Jim Harbaugh is just a character, so he's going to say some out there stuff once in a while.
Yeah, and Mac
not
bringing
wrong,
up Harbaugh got a Super Bowl trip out of Kaepernick. He likes Herbert, but just not sure if he is third in his division. Thankfully, he has the Raiders in the division. Yeah, I mean, he's third. By the way, Alex, appreciate the Dallas Cowboys for life in the comments. And Panthers, interesting. Jason Bo Nix, second. Okay.
No,
I love Bo Nix. That's so out of pocket. That's not even a good comparison.
they're not even like the same build. Josh Allen.
Bo Nix is Drew Brees in his younger days.
Exactly.
He's Drew Brees in the early Charger days before the shoulder injury. Limited mobility, but enough to extend the play, and he's going to beat you with his accuracy. He doesn't have a super strong arm, but he is very accurate, and that's what Sean Payton even said. He's like, I see Bo Nix as Drew Brees, like a younger Drew Brees. So great comparison from your head coach already believing in you after a rookie season. So if you guys missed it, we did actually talk about Bo Nix and the sophomore slump, and none of us think that he's going to have the sophomore slump, but a few of us put Herbert ahead of Nix, and a few put Nix ahead of Herbert. So it's kind of split in the war room. So
it's a little split. Speaking of the war room, Cody from Drew Code Sports Talk, saying that Mac, I thought we were cool. Josh Allen, now we talking overrated. Aaron, you got some thoughts on that?
He just won an MVP. How are you going to call him overrated? He with as little. If we're talking about quarterbacks not having a lot of weapons, we need to talk about Josh Allen. Yes, he had Stephon Diggs, but we know Stephon Diggs had some gripes in Buffalo, so that wasn't really panning out. Khalil Shakir was his number 1 wide receiver last season, and he still won MVP. You cannot call that man overrated after last year.
I will say, and Max saying he didn't deserve it, Lamar did, in my opinion, deserve it this past year over Josh Allen. I feel like voter fatigue impacted that a little bit. Jason, you're not getting away with this. Bo Nix, Josh Allen comment. 6'2" is not the size of Josh Allen. Tim,
Josh Allen's 6'5". He's 6'5". Like,
and Breeze is not 5'9". Breeze is 6 foot. Just FYI.
It would be like it would be like the same thing as calling Bo Nix Cam Newton, because Josh Allen runs a lot like Cam Newton does, and we would never compare Bo Nix and Cam Newton.
No, I'd rather have Bo Nix any day of the week
than Cam.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would rather have Bo Nix than a lot of quarterbacks, and I'm going to be honest with you. Like Bo Nix, I have Bo Nix like I could probably bump, a quarterback out of the top 10 and put Bo Nix and be justifiable with that. Like I am really big on Bo Nix this season. I think he's going to do great.
Which Cam Newton are we talking about here?
He was only good for 2 seasons.
Are we talking about the Cam Newton that drugged Ted Ginn Jr. and Philly Brown to a 15-1 season in a Super Bowl, putting up 31 points a game? Yes, they blew it in the Super Bowl.
Where he didn't dive on the ball?
Look, it's been 10 years. I don't know how much longer y'all are going to keep hammering home about that point. Hey, Cody there. Prime Cam Newton was a problem. Exactly. It is way too early in Bo Nix's career to say you would take him over Cam Newton at his peak. It was a short peak because he was getting smacked week in, week out and not getting any calls. Because, he's a big guy, he can take the hit. That's ridiculous. That's why he had such a dramatic drop-off, is because he was getting hit so much with hits that would be flags this past season. Cam Newton got screwed over in a lot of ways.
That's
I mean, we can say the same about some other quarterbacks in that era too that didn't get calls because, I mean, it was just the era. I mean, and unfortunately, he played in an era where, they're not as protective of the quarterback as they are now. And I think that, he also chose to run out of the pocket. So when you're out of the pocket, you're fair game. I'm sorry. You're no longer a quarterback once you step out of that pocket. You are a running back, and everybody should be able to hit you as a running back.
I agree. Like once you step out of the pocket and you're running, and I mean everybody's trying to get every inch they can. Yeah. You kind of give up your ability as a quarterback. Drew Code saying he was literally the Panthers offense. Podcast me, let Mahomes take the hits Cam took and talk to me later. Jason, healthy Cam was a beast, just never got the Brady calls. Drew Cody was like 11 Newton was first quarterback in history throw for 4,000 as a rookie. This is where, and by the way, shout out new person right here. I would butcher if I tried to pronounce. If you want to do a pronunciation guide in the comments so I can shout out your podcast.
I think it's Chewies or Shoeys.
Chewies or Shoeys. Either one.
I don't know. I do know that he is usually comes in on our show sometimes. So
okay, awesome. Yeah, if you can do a pronunciation, I'd love to give you a shout out. And hey, I might have a new podcast to listen to, and we appreciate you watching on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining us, you guys can hit that subscribe button. It's free, but it supports the content creators that give you shows like Outta Pocket, the Gridiron Address, 3 from Deep, Quick Hits, Dad and the Boys, like all these things. And I will want to touch on this Herbert situation, but I got to touch on this. 2011 Cam Newton was the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 4,000 as a rookie. Tim, it is interesting because you're a Chargers fan, but you're like, I would take Bo Nix over prime Cam Newton. Cam had 2 really good years. Aaron mentioned one of them, the 15-1 run, the MVP year. Like, Cam was probably the most played guy on Madden just because of how he played the game. And then his rookie year. Outside of that, he was mid. He was really mid on the rest of his career. maybe even subpar, maybe like bad, like below 60% completion percentage for his career. Tim, to me, that takes him out of the conversation of like, oh, Cam was just such a great player and he should be in the Hall of Fame, because he's just not that guy. But then again, you think Justin Herbert could be a Hall of Fame guy. So
I didn't say I think he could be a Hall of Fame guy. I said Harbaugh woke up in the middle of the night and said, I got to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame. So I acknowledge that he acknowledges what it will take to get Herbert there. I never said that Herbert's a Hall of Famer, because he still has a lot to prove. And it's still young in his career. So, same thing could be, said about Mahomes. I know he's got 3 rings, but like if he starts having some bad seasons, the argument could be made that he doesn't deserve, because I mean, what did he do after that? So like if Mahomes just plummets right now and just does absolute crap the rest of his season, I wouldn't put Patrick Mahomes in the Hall of Fame.
Aaron, I think that's out of pocket. I think that's out of pocket, Aaron.
I don't even have Patrick Mahomes as the number 1 quarterback in the league right now, because he's
okay.
Not.
Whoa! We gotta talk about this, because this was a topic on the Gridiron Address last night. Like, who do you have as your number 1 then?
I mean, flip a coin between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. You want to talk about quarterback, or you want to talk about team accolades? Because getting to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl is a team accolade. You want to talk about passing and what Patrick Mahomes did last season? Patrick Mahomes was a very average quarterback last season. Lamar was better. Josh Allen was better. You could even throw Joe Burrow up there as being better last season. I would not put Patrick Mahomes as a number 1 quarterback going into this season based off of last year's production. I would put Burrow, Jackson, or even Allen ahead of Patrick Mahomes, but he would not be my number 1 quarterback.
So you would have Mahomes at like 4?
I mean, yeah.
Aaron, that's
I mean, the top 4 was really hard for me to pick. They are really evenly matched. I wanted to put Burrow at 1, because if the Bengals made the playoffs, he would have won MVP. He had an absolutely electric season, and I just feel bad for him because the Bengals are just not doing right by him in any sense. Yeah, cool, he's got weapons, but doesn't have an offensive line, doesn't have a defense. But I mean, yeah, I had this debate with Shannon and Jason last night, and the top 4 was really hard for us to pick. I feel like you can spin a wheel and randomize the order, and you can make a strong argument for either one. I still had Mahomes at 1, but it was super, super close.
Okay.
And Jason,
you want to hear Patrick Mahomes' stats last season?
I do.
So he was 392 out of 581. That's a 67.5% completion passing, 3,928 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Joe Burrow, 70% completion percentage, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 66.7. So similar in the percentage, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Tell me how Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the NFL based off of that. He's not. If you want to say he's the best quarterback to get to a Super Bowl, I could back that up. But if you want to say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, those numbers do not back. Sam Darnold actually had better numbers than he did. Sam Darnold, 66.2% completion, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with over 4,000 yards passing. Geno Smith of the Seahawks, now on the Raiders, 70% completion ratio, 4,320 yards, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So Patrick Mahomes at 26-11 versus 41-4 and 43-9 is the best? No, I would much rather have Lamar. Patrick Mahomes benefits from being on Andy Reid. I guarantee you put Lamar Jackson, you put Josh Allen, you put Joe Burrow with Andy Reid. Let's see how many rings those boys get.
there's way too much to dissect. Podcast Smitty, Mac, Jason, Cody, all chiming in on the comments. I'm glad we don't have like 6 people on the stream because this would go the 7 hours.
That would be fun. Let's bring some people on. Let's do it.
Podcast.
I got
Josh
nothing else
Allen
going
did
on
more with
tonight.
less. Jason is defense. Rice hurt. No run game. Kelsey, Mr. Swift has worked year. More drops than Swift got hits. Our resident T Swifty, Wayne would disagree with his former co-host.
Jason, I just want to point out that you did say everyone plays hurt. So not an excuse that, he was missing his wide receivers. Not an excuse. Kelsey, Mr. Swift, that's on him for having the worst year. So obviously, Father Time is catching up to Kelsey. But as someone said in the comments, Josh Allen did it with a lot less talent. So if Patrick Mahomes is that great, he doesn't need elite talent to be great. He elevates that talent, and he does. But he didn't have the Patrick Mahomes numbers that we're used to seeing last season. And for that, this season, I don't have him as my number 1 QB.
So, Tim, where would you rank the quarterbacks in the AFC West? Kind of bringing it back to Justin Herbert and, because I think it is Mahomes. And then I would put Bo Nix. And you're really high on Bo Nix. And then I'd put Justin Herbert. And then I would put Geno Smith and the Raiders. Even though, and when I'm saying these quarterbacks, I'm also saying the coaches with them. So Mahomes, Andy Reid, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, because I think Sean Payton elevates Bo Nix. Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, because the jury for me is still out on Justin Herbert. And then Geno, Pete Carroll at 4, making note that Geno didn't start to become Geno until he did get with the mind of Pete Carroll. So, Tim, where would you rank those 4 that your West War Room rivals would either agree or disagree with?
So I would have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So Patrick Mahomes at 1. He's got the best coach in the NFL right now. I still have Herbert slightly above Bo Nix. I do want to make sure that Bo Nix isn't going to fall victim. I don't think he will, but I want to make sure he doesn't fall victim of that sophomore slump. He does have a great coach, but I do also want to point out, as great of a coach as Sean Payton is, and as great of a quarterback as he had in Drew Brees, he got to 1 Super Bowl in 15 years with the Saints in the NFC, back when the NFC was absolute trash. So maybe Payton doesn't need to be up there with the Andy Reids yet. Maybe he needs to be down there with the Jim Harbaughs, because Harbaugh took Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. So I have Mahomes, Herbert, Nix right below him, Geno right below that.
But it is a really competitive division. Sean saying put the right talent around Geno, he can make some. They got Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, and that's it. Because let him know, Sean. This is to me, and I'll say this: Justin Herbert needs pieces around him. And so he needs a front office who is going to equip him with the best people. I will go ahead and say this on Justin Herbert and the success for the Chargers last year. Ladd McConkey is the only one who could catch the ball. I don't know how Quentin Johnston makes it into the league, but he was notorious for.
We're not going to talk about him.
Notorious for dropping balls. And you can't be notorious for dropping balls if you're a wide receiver. Go to the defensive side of the ball, which the Chargers have a really great defense. That helps a quarterback. But the Broncos also have a really great defense. But for Justin Herbert, I think he needs postseason success. As tough as this division is, I think he needs postseason success if we're going to hold that standard for other quarterbacks. But with Jim Harbaugh, with Omari and Hampton, now, and Ladd McConkey, and pretty decent offensive line, really great defense. When you start putting these pieces around Justin Herbert, you have to sink or swim. And there's just got to be like a shorter leash each year for Justin Herbert because his numbers have declined each year. I mean, he had really outstanding second year, was 9-8, but had over 5,000 yards, 38 touchdowns. He turned the ball over quite a bit, which obviously he helped with his touchdown to interception ratio last year with Jim Harbaugh, but Harbaugh stopped putting the ball in Herbert's hands a lot last year, but I think that can help now that Justin Herbert has Omarion Hampton there. But Aaron, I know you had a question to pose here real quick.
Oh yeah, so you were talking about how competitive that division is. They had 3 teams in the playoffs last season. I want to throw this to Tim. It's really rare that we see 3 teams from one division make the playoffs, and for it to happen 2 years in a row seems highly unlikely. Who do you think is the most likely out of the 3 teams that made it last year to drop out and not make it this year?
That's really tough because obviously, the fan side of me wants to say that, the Broncos would be the easy choice. But I mean, let's face it, the Broncos do have a very great defense. The one deciding factor for me, though, is I believe a little bit more in the Chargers offense than I do the Broncos offense. And that's not a knock on Bo Nix, and that's not a knock on Sean Payton. But let's break it down real quick. I mean, we have Herbert versus Bo Nix. Okay, then now I will say they did go out and get J.K. Dobbins, so the running back room is slightly more even. But let's go to the wide receiver room. We had Ladd McConkey versus Courtland Sutton. I'd take Ladd McConkey all day, every day. Wide receiver 2, Trey Harris, if he decides to end the stupid holdout, versus Marvin Mims. I would take Trey Harris all day. I think he was one of the best wide receivers in this draft, honestly. And he's really good at getting separation, and he's a big body wide receiver. Mike Williams is obviously the veteran. He's just going to be there to mentor the young guys. I thought they did a really good job at addressing the tight end position with Tyler Conklin and drafting Aronde Gadsden. So when you start breaking it down position by position on the offense, because we all know what the Chargers defense did last year. They had, least amount of points allowed. So for me, I think it would be the Broncos, but it would be really super close. I mean, you could literally flip a coin and say the Chargers won't make it and the Broncos won't make it. Both have pretty hard schedules. The whole AFC West is in the top half of strength of schedule, the top 16 in terms of strength of schedule. So it is going to be really hard for all 3 to make it. But we automatically want to say the Chiefs are going to make it, and rightfully so, due to their past history. But what if something happened with the Chiefs? Like what happens with a key defensive player goes down, or what happens if, Mahomes and the wide receivers just aren't gelling? They start, Chargers and Chiefs start this season off together. So one of those teams is already going to start the season 0-1 and behind the 8 ball. So today, I would say that it would be the Broncos if I had to pick. But man, you could literally just flip a coin and say it could be either one of those 2. I'm sorry, Raiders are 7-10, 8-9 at best. We're not even talking about them. So between those 3, I think you could flip a coin.
Aaron, do you have a team that comes to mind with that question?
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with Tim. It's super close. I feel like barring some catastrophic injury to the Chiefs defense, I feel like they're a solid lock to make the playoffs. And I like the Chargers defense maybe a little more than the Broncos. And I do trust the Chargers offense more because Herbert's more established. We've seen how well he can do. He finally has better weapons around him. And I'm not fully convinced that Nix will have a sophomore slump. I think he'll still be good, but that's always a potential concern with a young quarterback.
So go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, I will point out there is a term that I don't like, but unfortunately it is there because that is what they do. And that is the Chargers seem to always charger. And what that means is they always seem to find a way to lose a game when they should be winning that game. And I don't know if it's quarterback play, I don't know if it's the coaching staff, but history shows that the Chargers find a way to charger and lose games that they just absolutely should dog walk their opponent.
And that's been a theme ever since the Philip Rivers days. I not to keep picking on Tim, but we'll I think it's the Chargers who missed it out. Joey Bosa obviously was 30 years old. He's actually in Buffalo now. He did have some trouble staying healthy. But you look at that pass rush and they have a couple pieces, but Khalil Mack's a little bit older. You also lost Asante Samuel. He is yet to re-sign with the Chargers. He might re-sign elsewhere. I wrote an article for FFSN.com saying that Asante Samuel Jr. could be a really good fit in Dallas as the Cowboys try to transition Siobhan Revel Jr. from a torn ACL to the NFL. Trayvon Diggs might start the season on PUP. We don't know when he'll get back. What can go wrong will go wrong. But I will say,
you're right, Cody.
And I got to talk a little bit with Aaron about this because we're like, dude, if there is a lock for a running back or even a player in general from this rookie class, it's unfortunately a former UNC Tar Heel, somebody I really wanted on Dallas. I am happy with Jaden Blue, but it's Omarion Hampton. And Najee Harris has an eye injury. It probably won't keep him out the rest of the year, let's be honest. But drafting Omarion Hampton as high as they did in the first round probably means that Omarion Hampton is going to be the guy in LA, or at least he should be. Right now, Najee Harris is slated ahead of Omarion Hampton in the depth chart. Do you guys think Omarion Hampton's going to be the guy? Or do you think they're going to try this Detroit like 1A, 1B punch like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery? Is that what they're trying to do with Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris? Aaron, is that even a good idea?
I mean, yeah, Najee Harris didn't really have a great last couple seasons in Pittsburgh, but he's not bad. And because of that, I do think that Hampton is going to end up being the guy. He's younger. I think he's a better receiving threat than Harris is. We know Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball a lot, so it makes sense that he's going to be using the both of them a good bit. But the eye injury, that feels like a nothing burger. Harris is going to be there week 1. He's going to be playing. But I don't want to say the pleasure of watching Hampton play in person because he absolutely torched App State both games I watched, but getting to watch someone that good in person was still a really cool experience. The first time it felt incredibly obvious. This guy is going to be a first round pick. He's absolutely electric. And I'm really, really happy he landed with a team that has such an emphasis on running the football. Harbaugh, when he was coaching at Michigan, they were a very, very run heavy team. That got him to a national championship, maybe with a little bit of help from a certain staffer to get him there, but I digress. Still run heavy. I'm super excited to see what Hampton can do in that offense.
Well, Tim, how was your initial reaction to Omarion Hampton getting drafted? And do you see him being the guy this year?
Oh yeah. Hampton was always Harbaugh's guy. Okay. I really truly believe that even without the eye injury, Hampton is the RB1 in LA this season. Now, also, I want to point out that I also feel that Najee Harris was like a safety net. And what I mean by that is I don't think that Harbaugh anticipated Hampton being there when the Chargers came to pick. So, Harbaugh does love to run the ball. And with that, I think he was just like, I want to run the ball. Najee Harris has had 4 straight seasons with 1,000+ rushing yards. I'm definitely going to go get this as my guy. He didn't anticipate Hampton being there. So then and I think you could even see it on draft night, when the Chargers came to pick and Hampton's still sitting there, he just kind of like, are we doing this? Like, are we really just going to go out and draft a running back after we signed Najee Harris? And the body language quickly was like, yeah, this was our guy from day one. We didn't want to trade up to get him, but he fell to us. So the Chargers had no choice but to take Hampton. I think Hampton's going to be a great back. And it's never a bad thing to have too many running backs in the league. You know, the running backs is the one position that, you know, gets banged up a lot, real easy. So for me, having two great running backs is just a bonus. But I definitely feel that Hampton is going to be the guy in LA this season and beyond. But it's going to be not quite like it's not a 1-2. It's kind of more like a 1A, 1B. And it's kind of, and I wouldn't be shocked that if Greg Roman decides to put them both in there, maybe motion Hampton and then hand the ball off to Najee Harris or vice versa. But I really do like the fact that he did land with Jim Harbaugh, who likes to run the ball. Hampton was a great back. He played in the ACC, not the greatest in terms of competition, but definitely not the worst either. So he had pretty, you know, good talent around him, and he had good, tough defenses in the ACC. So I think Hampton RB1, and then Najee Harris like a 1B. So,
and Mac brought up Hampton will make Herbert better. Ball in his hands means Herbert doesn't have to think and process. This is a quarterback's best friend, and that's why I'm saying, Herbert, this is your year because you have Najee at your disposal, but you have Omari and Hampton. Neither has to be the guy who's taking playing all three downs. Like, if you don't thrive right now with this defense, with the number one receiving option, with these two running backs, like, something needs to be reevaluated. Like, it will be on you because Hampton is going to help you out a lot. And just so you know, like, that happens around the NFL. Like, Dak Prescott as a 4th round pick thrived because Ezekiel Elliott was the 4th overall pick. And Cody's a little salty. Ashton Genty's still better. Max saying Genty's a beast. Just hope he wasn't overused at Boise State. And Tim mentioning Omari and Hampton's usage at UNC. And I saw him against Duke live in person. And
wow, I'm jealous.
If Mac Brown would have kept handing him the ball in the 3rd and 4th quarter, Duke doesn't come back down 20 points to win 21-20. Like, that was Mac Brown's poor coaching decision that allowed Duke to beat UNC in one of the coolest comebacks I've gotten to see in person. But Cody's saying Genty's still better. Mac's saying Genty's a beast. But I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think I'm out of pocket of saying that Omari and Hampton could very well be rookie of the year when it comes to the offense. But you have Ashton Genty with the Raiders. You have Cam Ward with the Tennessee Titans. You even have Travis Hunter, who's going for both offensive and defensive rookie of the year. And so you have some running backs at the top with Hampton and Genty. You have some dark horses like Jadon Blue, depending on how much usage he has. With the Cowboys, you have R.J. Harvey in Denver. But then you have quarterbacks like Cam Ward. I do not expect Shedeur Sanders to get on the field because he can't get off the road at a reasonable speed. So when a award like this is usually dominated by a quarterback and the number 1 overall pick and very flashy. Aaron, you covered the NFL draft very extensively on the Gridiron Address this offseason. Do you think, I'm not even saying like Genty or Hampton or whatever, do you think the rookie of the year is more likely to come from a quarterback or a running back?
I think a running back. Cam Moore doesn't have a great situation in Tennessee. They were picking number 1 overall for a reason. Calvin Ridley is his best weapon to throw the ball to. I think it's a toss-up between Genty and Hampton right now, and honestly, I'm leaning Hampton. I think he has there's more pieces on the Chargers offense so that defenses won't be able to just key in on Hampton like they'd be able to key in on Genty with the Raiders. So that's what gives Hampton the edge over Genty for me for offensive rookie of the year at this moment.
And Aaron,
Did we
might
just
get
become best friends?
Wow.
I think so. I'm not just saying this because there's a Chargers fan on the show. I am.
Aaron's also saying this because he's a Tar Heel fan.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I'm a huge Hampton fan. I have been for years. Like I said, I watched him in person. He was fantastic to watch, even when he's cooking the place I was going to school at. He's so good. He's in a perfect situation for him, I think, to excel year one. Oh Lord, Jason, come on, man.
Oh, and
What is this?
Wow, you went out of pocket on that one, bro.
Wow, Cam Scat
At a
and
boo rookie of the year. That's crazy.
hold
man.
up. Hold up. I vehemently hate the Giants. Probably not as much right now than I do
Are you
the
a Cowboys
Eagles
fan?
because I am
Yeah,
a big
yes.
Cowboys. How many times you watched the show, man? Now
Oh yeah, there's a Cowboy right up there.
yeah, got Dak on the wall. I'll do Dad and the Boys tomorrow with my dad that I'll drop in the morning. See, here's the great thing about being a Cowboys fan and hating the Giants is they haven't been good for a while, so you can direct more of
Neither
your
has
hate
the
towards
Cowboys.
Eagles. All right, Tim, settle down until Justin
like
Herbert
that.
can win a
I
playoff
love
game.
the Cowboys hate.
Well, I don't like it. Maybe this is his last
You
year.
should
I love
definitely
it.
tune in the regular season because my two favorite pastimes are dissing Aaron Rodgers and making fun of Jerry Jones and the Cowboys.
See, and well,
I'll
I make fun.
definitely be
I
sure
make
to
fun of
tune in.
Jerry Jones too. So, but this is another reason why I'm like, rookie of the year could come from a running back because other than Hampton and Genty, I mean, you have Blue and Harvey and Scattaboo. Like what he did at Arizona State was like incredible. Like it blew me away. Speaking of Arizona State, mouthing off with Mike, Arizona State alum. He loves the Sun Devils and he loves Derek for hopping on with him for the Nightcap Marathon this past Saturday. So shout out, Derek. Appreciate you hopping on and helping Mike. Podcast Nation during F1 car. What a movie, by the way. Forgive them for they don't know what to do. Genty all day. Jerry has 3 of the 5 Cowboys rings. Now, of course, Sean hops back in the comments as his Philadelphia Eagles. But Tim, like this running back class was so deep, and it was the exact opposite for quarterback. So unless it is like Cam Ward, like this reward's coming from a running back.
Well, yeah. So I went ahead and said I think that the running back does have the best chance to win Rookie of the Year this season. This quarterback class is terrible, super weak. The only one that will have any kind of stats is Cam Ward because their defense isn't good. So he'll be throwing the ball 400 times this season or 500 or 600 times. So for me, yeah, I think the running back class is super deep. But a name that you guys haven't mentioned, which is kind of a shocker to me, is Travion Henderson going to the Patriots. That is a very underrated pick there. And, you know, I really think that he could fly under the radar, but like the Patriots offense, because Stephon Diggs, so like, you know, they're like, oh, well, we can't just go and press, you know, Henderson in the box because Stephon Diggs, and let's not forget that Kyle Williams that they drafted. So at wide receiver. So I do think that the running back class does have the best chance to win Rookie of the Year. I think it'll finally go to a running back instead of a quarterback. And I like that. Now I'm not really that big on Genty as everyone else is. Like he's good. Like I'm not taking anything away from the guy. But he also did play in the Mountain West. And I know, like, if you've listened to the show, like I'm beating a dead horse here because like I'm just driving it home here. He played in the Mountain West. And like somebody said earlier in the comments, what about that usage? You know, he was literally running the ball 30, 40 times a game. So like already he has the miles that you don't want on a running back. I think Hampton has a good chance. I think Henderson could win Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Genty is definitely up there. I'm not taking anything away from the kid, but I'm just saying, like, let's be easy because, he does have a lot of miles. So I really hope that we do see a running back win Rookie of the Year because I'm tired of quarterbacks getting all the glory just because they play quarterback. Like, I'm sorry, but really, like, Saquon Barkley could have probably easily been the MVP last season instead of Josh Allen, because what would the Eagles have been without Saquon Barkley? And he almost broke a rushing record that has been around since the 80s. So for me, I want to see the running backs get the love too.
And podcast Smitty, he was on the comments a few minutes ago and saying running the ball is still important in football. That's huge
It
because
is.
we're in an era where running the football was great. Like, it was fantastic. Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton days. And then as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady like revolutionized the game, it was more strategic. And then as they were like going into the twilight of their careers, they were still around, but we started seeing a lot of teams try to push for 4,000 passing yards, 4,500 passing yards, 5,000 passing yards. One of the quarterbacks who did have 5,000 passing yards in a season was Justin Herbert. Like, we saw like all of these things come into play. And it's very interesting because if you look at the trend now, running the football matters. Like, if you do not have a good running game, you can have a 5,000 yard passer and still finish with 6 or 7 wins. Like, it's not as important. And Max saying Barkley was the MVP. I'm pretty sure Josh Allen went, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say this, as much as I hate the Eagles and Saquon Barkley for going to the Eagles, going from the Giants to the Eagles, like from bad to worse, he did deserve it. Like, he deserved
100%.
the MVP. I would have given it to, it was Saquon Barkley, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen for me. That was how I had it ranked. And podcast me, I'm gonna do my Smitty impression. Now, Tim, if Ashton Jeanty would have played in the Big Ten or the SEC, he would have had NFL caliber linemen, and he would have ran for 3,000 yards.
Well, I mean, if Hampton was in the Mountain West, what would he have done? I mean, I can easily just say the same thing. Like, Hampton played in a tougher conference. So what if he would have played in the Mountain West, or even better yet, the Sun Belt? Like, what kind of numbers would Hampton have had? So yeah, I mean, it's really easy to say, like, but like, would he have really? Because like, not all Big Ten teams have great line. Not all SEC teams have great lines. Most of them do, yes, but the Big Ten and the SEC are the two dominant conferences. So, but like at the same time, he would have also been going against tougher defenses. So how great would he have been? I don't think he would have had 3,000. I honestly, if he was in the SEC, I don't even know if he would have had the yards that he had. He might have had 2,000, but I wouldn't have seen him as close to the record as he was.
I really do think like we're going to be spoiled if healthy, because that's a huge caveat for running backs. If healthy, we're going to be spoiled for Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton and some of these like later round running backs too. Like, I don't think Hampton or Jeanty are like misses whatsoever. And we're going to have like at least 3 or 4 running backs from this class that when their rookie contracts are up, they're going to get paid. Like, they're going to get paid if healthy. But it'll be fun. Like, we're going to follow Rookie of the Year in that award race throughout the season, because it is phenomenal what we're doing. And I'm sure Aaron's going to also be covering a lot. Shannon, like, you've been doing these impersonations on Quick Hits. Like, I can't duplicate your voice. Like,
I got a voice filter on this soundboard. I could probably do a better impersonation with that.
And this is Quick Hits.
Now.
I kid. He's my broadcast partner. He's done incredible things with me. Just like being on the Gridiron Address last night with Aaron Schneider. Aaron, you guys dropped your quarterback rankings, and that is still available on demand on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. What was your biggest shock last night?
Oh, that's pretty tough. I was surprised with how low the other two guys had Justin Herbert relative to where I had him at. Yes, he's easy to pick on because of the lack of postseason success, but
I still think he's an incredibly individually talented player, and he deserves to be top 10. So that was probably the biggest surprise.
As my lighting comes back into focus after the other technical difficulties surrounding Aaron Schneider and his new microphone. Tim, this is your first time joining Outta Pocket today. Tell people where the... Oh, hold up. Sound like Kevin McAllister making reservation on the Tim, you're very familiar with Drew Code Sports Talk. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on all social media platforms. Answer the Coll, COLL, but also make sure to follow West War Room Rivals on all social media platforms, where the boys, Cody, Corey, Austin, Matt, and myself, each represent a team in the AFC West, and it's where rivals collide. So both of those channels, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, all social media platforms, definitely go check it out. Answer the Coll, COLL, and West War Room Rivals.
Hey, and that's awesome. You guys are familiar with Coach Dick Vermeil, Hall of Fame head coach. He got interviewed by the guys, so that's a fantastic show. You guys need to go watch.
I just want to say real quick that was and forever will be my greatest accomplishment in life. Like, as a podcaster, like, if nothing else ever happens, the rest of my podcast days, we had Dick Vermeil on the show. And if you missed the episode, I strongly recommend going and finding it. It's real easy. Probably something about Dick Vermeil being on the show. He's a great guy. And just listen to his stories, which is like, I felt like I could just sit there all day. And like, we were all just like at the edge of our seats, just tuning in and listening to every word he was saying. Great guy. And we thank him for taking, over an hour out of his time to be on the show. So it was a lot of fun. And if you guys missed it, I do recommend going and watching.
I would recommend, and I'm the guy who wasn't on that panel. So that's an unbiased take right there. Sean, great show. Hey, appreciate you and the stuff you're doing with WOD. Jason, it's a great episode. 3 from Deep as well, talking about the Thunder paying all their guys this past week, and they dropped bank. So that might just be 3 guys for, a year or 2 down the road after their NBA championship. But guys, that's been Outta Pocket today. We're down to 1 time a week on Monday evenings at 7, or in tonight's case, 7:05. We appreciate you guys being patient with us. We appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe to Boom Broadcasting so you can support all the content creators who are giving you content throughout the rest of the week. But we have the nightcap. I do not know how Mike is still running after this weekend, after his 7-hour marathon and 20 minutes on Saturday, and then his Evolution nightcap last night. He's going to be back for Monday Night Raw this evening, and then we'll have plenty of content like quick hits, Sean shows, It Stinks, WOD, Chris DeLuca's Dugout Debrief, Dad and the Boys. We got all the things for you. So you guys will be entertained 7 days a week. But we guys appreciate you. Thank you, Tim, for your first appearance on Boom Broadcasting and Outta Pocket. We are sure you'll be back. Thank you to Aaron. Guys, we gotta get out of here, and we're going to let you go. And we will see you guys next time on Outta Pocket.